Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. This is Danny from CatchForChrist.net, and today we're going to be memorizing James 1:27. As always, we'll be using the Scripture Typer Bible Memory app system. I'm going to go to your home screen. Please see the first video on this playlist to see a more in-depth tutorial on how I like to get the most out of this app from my point of view. But it's pretty straightforward. You're going to go to My Verses. Hit the plus sign at the bottom right corner, hit New Verse, then select which book you'll be in, or which letter. Be in James. Okay, then type in the chapter and verse notation. You can do more than one verse at a time if you like to, but today we're just doing one verse. You can choose different translations, and you can categorize your verses if you like to. Now import verse text will be the next step, and then you hit save. Then you just scroll down to wherever that verse is located. So it'll be James 1:27. That's a three-step process. The first step is to type it. Now typing it just entails hitting the first letter of each word, and the word should turn from gray to black. So religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. James 1:27. And I like to recite the verse as I'm typing it. So religion that God our Father accepts as pure and fault. I didn't ask you, Alexa. It's Alexa, sorry. It's to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. James 1:27. And I like to do each step at least 3 times. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. James 1:27. Now the second step, the app is going to take away half the words. This is called memorizing it. Just the second step. And all you're going to do is the same thing, but you're essentially filling in the blanks, but you're still going to hit the first letter of each word. So religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. James 1:27. Once again, religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. James 1:27. And as you can see, every other time it's going to alternate which words are visible. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. James 1:27. Alright, and the last step is to master it. Now you're going to do the whole thing without any on-screen helps. So religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. James 1:27. So this is the 7th time I just did this verse, in a very short period of time. And the reason why I like to recite the verse as I'm going is because after a while you're going to start to hear your own voice in your head. And that really helps, I think, with the memorization process. Not only are you typing, but you're also reading yourself type, you're also reciting, and you're also hearing yourself recite the verse. So many different ways you're interacting with the verse at the same time, which is why I like this method and this app. And as you can see, it'll say you've mastered this verse. It'll tell you what accuracy you're at. It'll say review daily. So that means if I try this verse tomorrow, and I hit my accuracy threshold, which is set at 96%, but you can tweak that in your settings. It'll advance my review frequency from review daily to every 2 days, and then after that every 3 days, and then 4 days, so on and so forth, all the way to once a year, and then not at all. So this app is a great way to space out your repetition. It'll give you a countdown to tell you which verses are due, and how many days or how many hours. So it's just it's pretty solid all the way around. It's a great app. But it's always important to read verses in context, so please read verses in context. I'll try to post this video and an article on the site CatchForChrist.net at some point. But thank you for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.